Good morning, everyone. The time has finally come. I'm actually quite excited. I have been bugging my contact at Barnett. What are you guys releasing this year? And he says, we've got a few things. What are you releasing this year? And the whole first day of the ATA show went by, and I have not seen a thing from Barnett until last night when I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I saw this on their website, guys. They have 3 new bows that they are releasing. It looks like 2 of them follow in the same Hyper Raptor lineup that I have now. So I have the BCX. I've had the original Hyper Raptor. So what they're doing is they're improving on that lineup, right? So they have a Hyper Raptor T-Rex, they're calling it, Hyper Raptor DC, and then, guys, they have a new Demon, which is their small break action crossbow. The last few, I've said before, they're like plinkers, right? You're gonna go out, just have some fun with it, and they are a blast. This one, guys, we'll get to it, but it's a little more serious, right? So this one is called the Demon Storm, if you see it right here. So I am going to go ahead and start by looking at the Storm, and we'll kind of go through this and see what's new, right, and what is not new with these crossbows. I'm going to go right to their site, click on it, and then you have your 3 new bows, right? So let's first look at this Storm, guys. So right off the bat, you know what, I'm going to grab my Demon so you can kind of compare. But right off the bat, there is a ton of things that are different with this. So here is my Demon AccuStrike, right? So you've got your normal, more like pistol sights on this pistol crossbow. Do you have the flip down handle, right? But there is a huge difference with this Storm. One, I don't know if you can see it, you can get a much longer stock on the back of this. So if I go down, if you see here, it is different on the back, just a little bit. But the biggest thing here is you now have, this is a recurve, this is a compound pistol crossbow, guys. So this is boasting 300 feet per second. You now have a pistol crossbow that you can hunt with, right? So whether that be small game, you know, what you want to do with it, this isn't a plinker anymore. This is a serious small crossbow, right? So you're looking at things that can compete more with like the ballista, right? It's got an illuminated scope with the red dots, or I believe you can also do green on this as well. But one of the coolest features about this, if I can find a really good picture for it here, right here, this picture, and I'll try to blow up some of these pictures for you too. What this does is there's a button right here. It's called the switch lock. You push that, and the front of the crossbow flips sideways. That whole riser flips sideways so that then it can be put in a gun case, guys. Nice and flat. It almost makes it look like a vertical crossbow, but it's for storage so that you can put it in a gun case. That is extremely cool. Very, very cool. So, yep, here's your larger stock, guys, if you want it. It's called the DTAC butt stock extension. So that will make your cocking easier as well because it extends a little further out. You have the retractable sling. I don't think that that's that big of a deal, as you know, but it's still there, right? And then, of course, you have they're calling it a premium trigger mechanism. It's just a trigger. I'm sure it works just fine. As you know, with a lot of crossbows, the trigger is just a trigger, right? It's not that special. And on something like this, I don't think you're necessarily looking for that super special trigger, right? But how cool is this thing? I mean, you're talking about a very cool pistol crossbow that's got features that no one else really has, right? So that is called the Demon Storm. And it looks, if you look at the limbs there, they're getting a lot of the same ideas, designs that their bigger lineup has, that the Hyper Raptor lineup has. Your grip is extremely comfortable, right? Now you're getting into the compound world. I believe the bolts are 10 inches long, but it comes with, I believe it's supposed to come, I don't see it here, but I believe it is supposed to come with broadheads for this as well. So I think it comes with normal broadheads and then also small game broadheads to go on these bolts, guys. That is a very, very cool offering from them, and I am quite excited about that, because as much as I love this Demon, it is more to just have fun with. It's not, I mean, I'm gonna try to maybe get a rabbit with it down the road, but you know, you're talking, I think, like 200 feet per second, something like that with this, maybe even 195, I can't remember, right? It's not necessarily what you would call a for sure hunting tool. It is for fun, right? But with this new Demon Storm, you're getting into like, at 300 feet per second, you're shooting faster than a compound, right? So it is a viable option if you can use bolts that small in your hunting area, right? And I guess that would be something to check out for yourself. So this Demon Storm, I'm not sure you can see it from this view, but this one is more expensive, right? And obviously it's gonna be more expensive. I wish maybe it was a tad cheaper, but with it being able to flip and all that kind of cool stuff, plus you're now into the compound world, you have a smaller bow, the technology that's going into that is going to cost you more, as honestly, let's just be honest, crossbow prices just keep going up and up and up and up, you know, it seems like, unfortunately. So you are now looking at $299.99 for the Demon Storm, which I'm sure you'll be able to find on sale at times and get it down under that 200 range. What I really meant to say is get it down more around that 250 range, guys. 250. I really hope I can get my hands on this and test it out, because I mean, it is significantly different. Guys, I'm looking at it right now and I didn't even notice that it has the halo riser on it, right? So see if I can find it here. Yeah, right there. It's got its own mini halo riser. So you are seeing a break action pistol crossbow with the technology of the Hyper Raptors. That's pretty cool. But enough about this. Let's move on to their second bow, which is the Hyper Raptor DC. Okay, so the Hyper Raptor DC. Now, they're really trying, it seems like to me, to just build on this Hyper Raptor lineup, right? They found some really good technology. It's cheaper than other people's, right? And they're really trying to tweak it, get it to be what the consumer wants. If you were like me and you bought the first year Hyper Raptor, you may be getting a little disappointed every year as these new ones come out. So right off the bat, DC, right? What does that mean? They don't exactly say here on their website anywhere, but guys, this is a decocking Hyper Raptor. That is the big thing this year. You are seeing that everywhere, right? 10-point, hey, you can decock our bows. Killer Instinct, which I'll put in another video, has a decocking bow, and now you can decock your Hyper Raptor. So I believe the DC stands for decocking, right? Hyper Raptor decocking. Now, as you guys know, if you've watched any of my videos in the past, I do not like their crank system before. It appears to have changed a little bit. So I will try to zoom this picture in for you guys, but you can see the cranks back here, it still goes through the buttstock, but it comes up and stores now in front of your sight. So before, a lot of the problem was on these old ones, and it would store right here. And there's like a plastic piece that it clipped into, and people would break that, and then what, right? So hopefully, with it storing in the front, it's a little bit better of an option. Now, apart from that, I think you're looking at essentially the same thing, right? So you got the flip down handle in the front, right? You're at 425 feet per second. So I don't know if they've changed the cams at all. I haven't had any problem with these cams on my BCX yet. Some people have said that their cams are an issue, but I would think by the third year of developing these things that they shouldn't be the issue anymore, right? So this can shoot the half moon nocks, guys. You can use half moon standard diameter bolts that are 20 inches long, right? So you're looking at essentially your Hyper Raptor again, right? With the ability to decock it. So that is very cool indeed. And yeah, you get the Trigger Tech trigger, which I love the Trigger Tech triggers. I have a Killer Instinct, I have a Center Point, I have an old Barnett, which didn't have the Trigger Tech trigger, and there's just nothing. I mean, Trigger Tech triggers are very nice, and you're seeing 10 Point use them now too. You can't beat that Trigger Tech trigger. So you have the Hyper Raptor DC, which gives you that decocking ability. There's not a lot of information on how it decocks, right? It just says that it has an integrated planetary decocking system, which ensures effortless and safe decocking. And then hopefully in the next few days here, there's a video that shows how that works. I don't see anything on here for that, but there it is, right? So you got some different graphics and stuff on the limbs, but basically everything is the same. In my eyes, again, I'm not putting my hands on this at the moment, except for it now has the ability to decock. So that is very cool for those of you who really don't like having to shoot your crossbow to decock it. This is now an option. But you might be wondering, what does that option cost? Well, you're bumping that price up a little bit, right? So you got your Hyper Raptor, you got your Hyper Raptor BCX, now you've got the Hyper Raptor DC. For $800, you have a decocking option on the Hyper Raptor, right? So that is going to lead us to the last new release bow that they're showing right now. I don't know if they have any other ones, but for now, this seems to be it, right? And that is the Hyper Raptor T-Rex, which is a cool name, but I thought it was funny because you have the Raptor and the T-Rex, and you know, now I'm just thinking Jurassic World. So this bow, this one's gonna cost you a little more, right? So this is, it's $1,000, guys. $1,000. So Barnett has now stepped into the ouch price range, right? With $1,000. At least for me. Some of you guys, that's not that big of a deal. But if you're gonna offer a bow at $1,000, you now are fighting with, you know, the Wicked Ridges, 10 points lower end bows. You're in that range. I mean, you're even in getting close to some of these lower end Ravens, stuff like that. So what are you offering me for that price, right? Because that's a big chunk of change, right? You can go get a car. Not saying it's a good car, but you could go get a car. All right, so here it is. Now, right off the bat, what do you notice? Different color scheme, right? So it has more of this tan color, which is pretty cool. I like different colors on crossbows. It adds nothing to them, but it's cool. So here we go. We're looking at it right here. Notice this whole area here is different, right? this whole area is different. The rest looks familiar, right? Got the really comfortable handle, got your Trigger Tech trigger, got your flip down handle in the front, got your halo, right? But what's going on here? This is exciting, guys. It is. I'm excited about this. Oh, I went back too far. Okay, so this one shoots 440 feet per second. Because, you needed 20 more feet per second. As you know, if you watch any of my videos, speed, not the biggest thing to me. I would be okay with not upping the speed on some of these, but there you have it, right? 440 feet per second. If you like speed, there you go. Now, this has something a little different. I'm gonna see if I scroll down if they have a better view. There it is. Does that picture get bigger? Picture does not get bigger. I'll try to blow it up on the screen for you guys. So you got your crank system in the back, right? But what you don't have is that cable running through, because now you have a floating trigger box. So it's a lot like 10 points technology, guys. Now you can crank it up with the floating trigger box. So cool, right? So you're gonna be able to decock it, all that stuff with a whole different technology, right? Instead of having the cable that comes out and is in the way, and you got to clip it on the front of the bow or in front of the sight like their other one, which is still great, right? If you need a cranking device on your crossbow. This one goes right along the rail, connects to the string, cranks back, and then fits right in there. Boom, right in. There's like almost like a barrel at the end of that. Very, very cool, guys. So yeah, there's a button there. So you'll release it down, grab your string, and pull it all the way back in this barrel area here. That is really, really cool. Definitely new technology for them, right? So it's still your Trigger Tech trigger, but it's got that floating trigger box, which is very cool. Hope I'm using the right terminology there, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. So you got your flip down handle, you get, a lot more speed, right? So mine's probably, I think my BCX is supposed to be 420. I'm sure it doesn't shoot that with the arrows that I'm shooting, but you've added another, 20 plus feet per second on this one. You now have a very nice system of cocking your bow that really, I'm not going to say it copies 10 point, but it's along the same lines, right? You're getting that box that slides down and cranks it up. So very, very cool. Can't wait to see this one in person, guys. That's just going to be some really nice technology that I think a lot of the crank cocking devices now are getting so nice that I might have to say this one's pretty nice. And I still prefer the rope cocking device, but man, this is going to make it smoother, easier. This is what we have wanted from Barnett on their crank cocking devices. I don't know how you can complain about that. But that being said, you're going to pay for it, right? So that's $1,000 for this bow. That is a lot of money, but it might just be worth it, right? It might just be worth it. I mean, just look at the color, right? So, again, on this one, you are using your Hyperflight bolts. I am not seeing anything that says that it can use half moons. I'm going to assume and hope, let's say hope. I'm going to hope that because it is in that BCX lineup that you can use standard diameter bolts. Don't take my word for that. I will hopefully get an answer from my Barnett contact here in a little bit. And maybe I can put a comment below the video if I do hear back from him. But hopefully it can take those standard diameter bolts, because if it does, that makes it a lot more appealing in my eyes. Very, very cool, guys. So those are the releases that you're not seeing anywhere else, right? You probably will today now, but you just were not seeing those listed anywhere else. So you have the T-Rex, you have the Hyperraptor T-Rex, Hyperraptor DC, and then you have the new Demon Storm, which they definitely put some time into that to completely design. It is a new pistol crossbow for them. Yes, it's in the Demon lineup, but you're talking compound pistol crossbow, 300 feet per second. That is very, very different, right? So thanks for coming and checking this out, guys. I just was so excited to share this with you. If you haven't been just, staring at their website like I have for the last day and a half to see if they're releasing anything new, then you probably don't even know that they have these things out there. So, hey, look at that. Pretty good deal if you're looking for a Hypertech 420. And then, of course, guys, they have all their Buck Ops sights as well, where it's not night vision, but good grief, it's day vision in the night, essentially. So you can see in those low light situations. I still have not got my hands on one of those, but I still hope to, because, man, I would like to do some coyote hunting and, maybe even head down south and do some Russian boar hunting, right? And man, would those be handy for something like that. But thanks for coming and checking out the video, guys. Hopefully I can talk to Joe at Barnett and find out a little more about this stuff. And if I do, I will, of course, put a video up for you guys. If you stuck through this whole thing, thank you. If you can, just subscribe, guys. If you don't want notifications, turn those off. But the more subscriptions I get, the more I can get my hands on some of this stuff and show it to you guys before you spend your money on it, right? So thanks for coming. We'll catch you on the next one.